Hello, everyone. In the next week's episode of HPE Labs podcast, From Research to Reality, I have a great honor and pleasure to host Beth O'Byan. Hello, Beth.
Hi, Dejan.
Senior Executive Assistant at Storage BU. Beth, you are one of the first people who is coming from businesses. Can you tell us a little bit about your career?
I'm a Senior Executive Assistant in the Storage BU. I've got a BA in Business Management.
And how is it? You spend a lot of time in labs, then you moved on to work in businesses. How does it feel? What's the difference?
Oh gosh, it's a huge difference. So I started in labs in 1988 and finished up in 2016. So I was in labs for a number of years. Very different having worked at labs and then going outside of the labs world.
So, but labs were much bigger. There were like 1,200 people.
Labs, yeah.
How did it feel?
It was well over 1,200 people. It was a huge organization, very different from what it is today, but very special, very unique folks that made up the labs, and we had a great time. It was very magical.
So what were your roles and responsibilities at labs at that time?
So I worked for the thin film department. There were about 25 people in that group. It was mostly PhDs, chemists, a handful of lab technicians. That was back when we had certified ISO labs, and we did the testing calibration there. People wore the bunny suits, the whole shebang. So a very, very different world from going outside labs.
Yeah, a few podcasts ago, we all wore bunny suits and we went through our lab here. Is there any memorable moment? I'm sure there have been many over the years. You were there for, 28 years in labs?
Correct. Yes, we had some very memorable moments. So one of them in particular that was interesting was it was a training exercise that they had all of the employees at labs attend. It was in 1988, and it was in Santa Cruz at Chaminade. Mm-hmm. And they were trying to train the employees on how to work together and trust one another. Mm-hmm. One of the exercises was to break up everyone into groups. And so one person would stand up on a higher source, maybe a log or something like that. The rest of the group was to catch that person, and they were to fall back and trust that their group would catch them.
Yeah, I guess we learn that every day, Most of the time we catch each other. Sometimes, you miss. So can you tell us how have the labs evolved over the years? That was in 1988. And, you moved, if I remember correctly, from that lab, and then you moved to Page Mill Road. And how was that different?
So when I started in 88, we had buildings 25 and 26 that were off Deer Creek Road in Palo Alto. And I think Tesla is there now. Mm-hmm. And it was a huge facility. And we had, like I say, we had a number of labs. We didn't have just one lab. We probably had 6 labs just for thin film.
And we also did a lot of outings. I mean, I went to Big Basin. Then we also go to Zots. Tell us, how was that? I remember that it started all with Bill and Dave, who helped cook meals for employees, and then Correct. Other managers did it. Nowadays, we go and buy it, but like today.
Exactly. So I think we might have a few throwback photos to add in here. But yes, my boss and I, Chuck Morehouse, who was the manager of the thin film department, wanted to kind of recreate the magic of having Bill and Dave, the management, serve the employees, mm-hmm. basically, do the barbecuing and everything. And we were limited on budget. So we came up with a plan where we would assign a task to each manager, and they were to head out to the big box store and purchase whatever their item was, supplies, food, whatever it was, ice. The person who drew the short straw got the watermelons because they then had to transport whatever it was they were assigned to over to Little Basin. So Little Basin is a part of Big Basin located in Boulder Creek. Little Basin was owned by Hewlett Packard back then. And there was just a real fun vibe about that spot. And we decided it's open to us. Let's go ahead, set it up there. And so we had all the managers bring all the items over. We had groups get there early and set everything up. And then the managers cooked all the food. They set everything up and they served the employees.
So 30, 40 years later, we still do that. It's amazing how that, I was always taught that it's the culture that makes the company, the people. It's great to see that it still remained. But what about this other place, Zots?
Zots. Oh, well, we know all about Zots. Zots is a fun place. So it was close to where we were located off Deer Creek in Palo Alto. And I think a number of the managers really like going there. Would be considered a dive back then. It was pretty small, a lot of picnic tables out back, few TV sets, really good greasy burgers, crunchy fries, cold beers. It has a pretty amazing history too. It's been a tavern since I think in the 1850s. And back then the patrons had to ride up on the horse to get the cold beer. Yep. In the 30s, it became popular with the Stanford crowd. And who knows, Bill and Dave may have gone there. We don't know. But it does hold a special place in the history of Silicon Valley, being that it was the first place for an email to be transmitted via, I think it was the SRI scientist team that set something
Stanford
up there.
Research Institute.
Yeah. So
we almost recorded this podcast there, but we opted for higher quality audio. And but now, after these beautiful, memorable days in labs, you work in a business unit. How's that different? What do you do there?
Oh gosh, totally different. When I worked at labs, there were probably a bit more options for creativity. Now it's pretty much focused on scheduling. Scheduling is my world. What I do enjoy is setting up events, and I do enjoy any kind of picnic, socialization. And we don't, unfortunately, do that quite as much as we did back in the labs world. My job is pretty much focused on making everything run smoothly for all of the managers in the group.
And how do you and they measure success of your work?
Oh gosh, we measure success. I take a personal inventory at the end of the day to see how things are going and how I feel about where things have gone in that day. And really, I base that on how well the managers' meetings went through that day. Did they meet the right person? Was it at the right time? Was it the right focus for that meeting? If it got changed, how did we handle it? Just not getting distracted by everything else. Keeping things running smoothly, being proactive. Those are all the best aspects of an EA, is keeping things running smoothly.
I always had huge respect for you, but this surpasses any expectations. It's not only whether these meetings were scheduled right, but how did they go, and all attention to little details. That's really amazing. So what are you most proud in your career, given all that you said and all the work in labs and here? What are those little nuggets that you're most proud of?
Those magic moments?
Yeah.
Well, I'm proud that I went back to school and finished my bachelor's degree. And I did that while I was working at labs. And management was completely behind me on following up on that, and I really appreciated that greatly. It was a very different kind of an atmosphere back then. It was much more focused, I thought, on the employees. And well, I have to say I'm not an EA because I love office work or because I am fascinated by Slack or creating spreadsheets. I'm an EA because of the flexibility it gives me and also the competitive salary that's available.
And your colleagues, other executive assistants, senior executive assistants, junior executive assistants, do you all have a community? Do you work together
We
do
do.
you catch each other when you fall?
Absolutely. So we have an assistant network that we have meetings once a month. Tips and tricks are shared. And then we have a Slack channel that's also dedicated to the assistants locally. And then we meet once a month and we just have conversations, or I do have a group of EAs that I count on, lean on if I get frustrated. And we contact one another and just, grumble if we need to. Or if we haven't, or we're not familiar with something, one person might know how to make that work. So we have a great system.
Do you have a blacklist and whitelist of people who are hard and easy to work with?
Absolutely.
Am I on the blacklist?
Of course not.
What did you find most gratifying in your career? You already touched on it, but I like full focus on it.
Well, event planning. I really enjoy doing that. I like the social aspect of the job the best. It's the creative part, and that I'm a creative person, so I enjoy that quite a bit. The day-to-day items that we have to handle, those are very important. They matter. The whole business matters. But it's the socialization part that actually allows the EA to maybe have a little bit more creative license than they would in the usual day-to-day activities.
So in the spirit of that, you will schedule the next event at Zots to record the B-rolls for this podcast?
Absolutely. More than happy to.
And what would you do differently if you would start all over again? Would you finish your Bachelor of Science first, or later, or never, or be something else?
Absolutely. I would have done that first. No, yeah. And if I could do anything differently, I probably would have studied something in the hospitality industry, because I think that it was kind of more of the creative nature. Mm-hmm. But, this has been a great opportunity and I've enjoyed it greatly, and wouldn't complain about it ever.
And our assistants here, they help organize these events for broader good. Do you also do that? And do you do anything else for the broader good?
I try not to do anything for the broader good. Actually, no, we try and do all kinds of events, volunteer coordination for the broader good. Any kind of an event where we can bring in items for anyone who needs that. Mm-hmm. Anything where we can fill a gap, we try and do that.
And then our audience likes to know about books. Have you read any interesting book lately?
I really enjoy reading. I like to read a lot of spy novels. Mm-hmm. Right now, though, I'm reading a summer book. It's called The Wedding People, and it's just fun and a nice summer read.
And beside reading books, what else do you do in your spare time?
Oh, gosh. I like to garden. I like to bake desserts. We have a menagerie of animals at home, so I like to have a good time with them, try and exercise whenever possible, and try and keep a good attitude and not let the negativity get to me.
Absolutely. Great advice for everyone. And you've been around here for some time in this area. Has it changed, and how?
Oh, goodness. I couldn't even... So many changes to the Valley of Heart's Delight. It used to all be orchards, mm-hmm. and very few freeways, just kind of a quiet little place. I grew up in Los Gatos, and it was a small kind of farming town back then. Mm-hmm. Beautiful, but very, very different now. Everything's very different.
Thanks, Beth. Great talking to you. Hope to see you at Zots and other places soon.
Great. Thanks, Dejan.